June, are you with us? Apparently not.
We're connecting you to your conference, which is already in progress. There is one other party on the call at this time. You are joining the call as the host. You may touch zero for conference help.
June, are you with us?
I am. I'm here.
Great, we can hear you fine. We'll get started here in a minute.
Thank you.
June, if you're keeping track, I think we have about 50 residents here.
Oh, thank you. I am.
I call to order the Fairway Village Residents Association Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance with Director Marsh. Proof of notice, Director Killam.
Yes, Mr. President. The meeting was posted in accordance with Florida statutes.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, Director Killam.
I move to waive the reading and accept the minutes of the FVRA Board of Directors meeting on Tuesday, March 9th, 2021.
Second, Darrell Burns. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Minutes are accepted as written. Treasurer's report, Director Raymer.
right off the bat. Thank you very much. Well, welcome to the wonderful world of fairway financing. We worked on getting this done. We've been working. The biggest announcement we have to make is we have finally finished our review of 2020. We have given the review to our accountants, and we should have it back in our hands and posted on the website by the 15th of this month. We are not going to be sending out printed copies, but if you need one, please call the office or email the office, and Mary and Heather will make sure you get a copy. But it's there for everybody that is signed on to our website for your review. Also, our treasurer's report will be going on the night before our BOD meetings, so that if you want to review the treasurer's report prior to the meeting and have any really deep questions to get me in trouble on, it's there for your viewing. But that's where we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks. It's been quite a haul trying to get 2020 closed. We realized about 3 weeks ago that we still had a clubhouse on our books, and yet we tore it out last September. So we had to go in and remove about $380,000 of capital assets. It's not a money number, it just brings our asset level down. At the end of the construction, of course, it'll come back up because we have the new clubhouse to replace it all. Of course, right off the bat, we have to start with the executive summary that shows red figures. And I don't like seeing red figures, but it happens. In the month of March, we had a few oddities happen to us. We had a computer glitch on payroll, and we ended up to be putting 3 pay periods of tax in, which gives us an overstatement of $3,500. We've started the tree maintenance program early. We weren't budgeted till later in the year, and that was a $7,000 hit to the budget. And of course, as everybody that knows, our golf participation this year is way down. We are losing about $5,000 a month. We are losing about $5,000 a month, and the forecast for this year is about a minus $76,000 to budget. Hopefully COVID will go away, our snowbirders will return next year, and we'll get back on track there. As you can see in the executive summary, on the month we have an actual loss of $3,000, but we are actually $49,000 ahead in the first quarter, so we could handle that properly and without any problem. Our assets are remaining about the same, but that will definitely go up when we complete the building and add about $5.6 million to our assets. Our reserve allocation plan, we're right on budget. The payment that we made this past March was the last payment we will make out of our reserve account to keep us on balance, to keep us where Dennis's magic number is fully funded, or 49%. We'll stay at that and maintain that right through the end. Next month's draw for the contractor will come into our bank loan, and we will reserve the $400,000 that we have in the wrap for the building for furniture, fixtures, and anything that we need at that point in time. So the bank will only be paying for the building, and it'll be our money paying for the fixtures and stuff. There you can see the operating revenue and expenses for the month. Revenue was down. That's directly correlated to the lack of golfers and golf fees. Administration was good. Maintenance, give or take $400. Golf expenses was overextended because Bill went ahead and ordered some materials in that he was supposed to buy in April, May. He bought them in March. That'll straighten out over the next month. And the payroll expense, we're going to have to look into that and probably adjust it to the next month or back to the month of February. Year to date, we are 50,000 ahead, which is 18,000 more than we forecasted. And that basically comes that they had forecasted our utilities to run us about $110,000 a month. They're running about $95,000 a month. So that basically says we're not giving Largo as much as we thought we had to. The balance sheet stays rather consistent. Fixed assets are $19,600. Accumulated depreciation is $10 million. When we finally write off the previous clubhouse and all the stuff that we gave away, our depreciation is going to drop off. But as I said earlier, it will pick back up and we will be adding $5.6 million to our fixed asset allocation. One thing that we realized that the depreciation schedule in the fixed asset listing has not been addressed for 3 or 4 years. So we have equipment that we still have on the books that we probably can't even find. Bob Dunn was kind enough to tell me that we have a record of what we gave away from the clubhouse, so we can take that away, and it's a non-dollar amount, but it does come off our assets. That will happen over the next month or two. One thing that I think I didn't bring up is our cash balance. Our cash balances in our cash balance in the operating account, somebody's playing Jeopardy with me, is $529,340. Our replacement funds is $901,632. So we have the funds to make sure that we've finished the building and have our reserve account at the level we want to keep it at. The reserve account, the balance as of now is $901,632. The capital expenses are $1.114846. The $10, it took us just about 3 days to find it. It was a $10 charge that BB&T decided to put into our bank account. But we did find it and we are balanced. We will, on a monthly basis, we'll be giving you a reserve account activity. You can see here we have ACS, which is a down payment on the replacement of the front door of the FVRA office. We have paid CT $440,931. We have done a down payment on the pipe repair over in the 500 block. And Ruderman installed new valves at 333 and 334 for a total of $35.72. There's a $16.85 charge here that somehow a check went missing from back in November. We had to reissue it. It's will not hit the wrap account, but we're just recording that it's there. This is a little bit of an eye chart, but this is what we've budgeted to spend out of the RAP account this year. Curbs, drainage. The drainage amount that we budgeted of $40,000, I think we're just about done that because of the repairs we had to make at the 500 block. But you can see the rest of it is right in line. The clubhouse building, we spent $1,088,000, and the plan amount called for $1,004,000. So that $400,000, we're going to reserve that for fixtures. The other cost was a golf cart replace and a mower replace, and our total expenditures out of RAP for this month were year to date is 1.114846. Now, this is a summary of the construction that we are doing right now. You can see the base account. You can see what we've added to it, the deck, the glass partition, the folding partitions. We've done change orders of $84,000. We have a balance left in the contingency fund of $230,000. Bob and his crew are working on the sound stage of $150,000, but we haven't got into that yet. Some of the kitchen equipment has been ordered. We've done you can see we've only spent $1,000, but the items are on order. Total construction budget was $5,062,498. We've spent $1,454,7,211, and that leaves a balance of $3,860,926. The architect, his contract was $400,000. We've paid him $340,000. There's a balance of $59,000, but there are still soft things that he will charge us for throughout the contract when he's giving us reports and that type of thing. Club demo was $91,000. We budgeted for it, cost $76,000. Dock demo, we budgeted for $65,000. It cost us $14,000. Other miscellaneous things weren't budgeted, but things come through like the containers that we have our equipment and that type of thing. So there's a net there of minus 14. But our costs are running right in line, and if they continue through the next 4 or 5 months, I think we'll have a successful building project. And that's the end of the wonderful world of finance. Have a good day.
Thank you. I think I ought to mention something that he said right at the beginning was we had a little discrepancy in numbers because of a payroll problem. And I say this because of what a good job was done. Late in the afternoon, the day before all of our employees were supposed to get paid, the system that does that for us, we enter it in, the system that generates the checks for all those people went down. And when we talked to the people who we contract that through, they didn't know when it was coming back up. And so our manager did a lot of manual work to get our employees paid the next morning when they were supposed to. And he really had to get creative as to how to actually do the checks on our own now. And so kudos to Anthony for taking care of the employees for that. Okay. Moving on, manager's report, Mr. Fiore.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a couple of items. I guess I found out late this afternoon that the city of Largo didn't pick up the trash on certain streets. One thing that's very, very important, look, these things are going to happen. I hate to say it that way, but that's called reality. The other thing is you need to call the office the following morning and provide them your lot number and your name. And what we'll try to do is we'll make sure that we call the city of Largo, and they most likely will come out that day. I guess what happened was they called, when Heather got the messages, she called the owners, and the city of Largo came out but some people had taken back their barrels in. So what we may do next time is just make sure that everybody's notified by text message. That's my segue into my next request. On March 3rd, we had 660 people who signed up for emergency alerts, 595 people for the website. As of today, on the emergency alerts, we had a 10% increase. I'm sorry, 5% increase. We have 695 people signed up for emergency alerts, and then another 5% increase on the website. One thing that we're really hoping is everybody signs up for the website, because there's a lot of information on there. And like David said, the financial review will be posted there hopefully by the end of business on Friday. And the financials will be posted the evening before the meeting. And there's a lot of great other information on there as well. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Agenda item number 7, committee reports, ARC minutes, Director Weaver.
Good evening, folks. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the approval of the following Architectural Review Committee minutes and the modifications contained therein. The dates of the meetings were March 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th.
Second by Roxy Marsh.
Rationale, these minutes were reviewed and approved by the Architectural Review Committee and sent to all directors for their review and approval. Approval of this motion is recommended.
No discussion. I'll reread the motion and move the approval of the following Architectural Review Committee minutes and the modifications contained therein for the dates of the meetings were March 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 7.2, FSC, Roxy Marsh.
Yes, Mr. President, I move the Board of Directors to allow the FSC to waive their annual meeting.
A second? I'll second. Darrell Burns, second. Rationale.
Rationale, this past year, the FVRA Board, because of COVID and clubhouse construction, gave permission to the FSC to suspend their monthly meetings. It was assumed that their annual meeting, to pass next year's budget, would or could be held in March of 2021. The FSO Board, realizing they would not get a quorum for this meeting, needs to cancel this meeting. Since then, the FSC Board at their executive meeting did pass their budget for 2022.
Any discussion on the motion? I'll reread the motion and we'll vote. I move for the Board of Directors to allow the FSC to waive their annual meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. New business, 8.1, request for caregiver unit 163, Director Foisey.
I move that the Board of Directors approve a live-in caregiver for Lot 163.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Who's that? Darrell?
Darrell.
Darrell Swain, second.
Thank you.
Rationale, the resident, upon advice of their physician, requires a live-in caregiver. Appropriate supporting documentation has been received and reviewed. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination based on disability. Therefore, I recommend approval of this motion.
Okay, the ESA is not, so next motion. Any discussion on the motion?
I guess there is.
Emotional support Bruce.
I thought it was a dog at first.
We'll try and fight through this. Any discussion on the motion? Barring any discussion, I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. I move that the Board of Directors approve a live-in caregiver for lot number 163. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Motion 8.2, A, B, and C, request for ESA units 215, 669, and 710. Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like you said, I'm going to give this in three separate motions. I move that the Board of Directors approve the formal request for the accommodation of assistance animal associated with Lot 215.
We need a second.
I'll second it.
Darrell Swain, second.
Rationale: the home in question is in the pet district of Fairway Village. All requested documentation for the accommodation has been received and reviewed. Under the current state and federal law, the animal described here is not to be treated as a pet. Excuse me. Therefore, the FERA restrictions do not apply and may not be considered in either the discussion or decision. Approval of this motion is recommended. And also, any of the directors that printed out the information, I would appreciate it if you would destroy it at the end of the meeting. If you would do that, please.
Any discussion on the motion?
By the way, it is a small dog.
Thank you. Barring any discussion, I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. I move the Board of Directors approve the formal request for accommodation of an assistance animal associated with lot number 215. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. 8.2A.
Okay, 8.2B. I move that the Board of Directors approve the formal request for the accommodation of assistance animal associated with lot 669.
Second.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Darrell Swain.
Rationale: the home in question is not in the pet section of Fairway Village. All requested documentation for the accommodation has been received and reviewed. Under current law and federal law, the animal described here is not to be treated as a pet. Therefore, the FERA restrictions do not apply and may not be considered in either the discussion or the decision. Approval of this is recommended.
Any discussion? Barring any discussion, I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. I move the Board of Directors approve the formal request for accommodation of an assistance animal associated with lot number 669. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. And
Aye.
by the way, that was a small cat, just a cat.
All opposed, nay. Who was that? What?
No, there wasn't anybody on the floor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. A motion carries. That's 8.2B carried.
Okay. Mr. President, I move that the Board of Directors approve the formal request for accommodations for an assistant animal associated with lot 710.
We need a second.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Darrell Swain.
Rationale: the home in question is not in the pet section of Fairway Village. All requested documentation for the accommodation has been received and reviewed. Under current state and federal law, the animal described here is not to be treated as a pet. Therefore, the FERA restrictions do not apply and may not be considered in either discussion or the decision. Approval of this motion is recommended.
Any discussion?
By the way, that's a cat.
Barring any discussion, I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. I move the Board of Directors approve the formal request for accommodation of an assistance animal associated with lot number 710. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 8.2C. 8.3, request for a caregiver, Unit 475, Director Foisey.
Mr. President, I move that the Board of Directors approve live-in caregivers for Lot 457 upon the completion of background checks.
I'll second that.
475?
475.
I'll second.
Roxy seconded. Rationale.
This resident, upon advice of their physician, requires a live-in caregiver. Appropriate supporting documentation has been received and reviewed. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination based on disability. Approval of this motion is recommended.
Any discussion on the motion?
One question.
Go right ahead.
The motion indicates caregivers plural.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
But it affects the use of the park.
I believe they've signed off on that, knowing they are not able to use any of the amenities.
For those of you out there, just what we're discussing. If you have a caregiver come in and live at your home to take care of you, that caregiver can't use any of the amenities of the park. They can't golf, they can't shuffle, they can't use the pools. The only time they could do that is if they had to assist the person they're a caregiver for to do those activities. So that's what Steve was alluding to, was those people have been made aware that they can't use the amenities as a caregiver. So any other discussion on the motion?
Also, John, are we doing a background check on both of the caregivers?
Yes.
On the two for this one, but not the other?
Yes.
Right, that's correct. Any other discussion? I'll reread the motion, we'll vote. I move the Board of Directors approve live-in caregivers for lot number 475 upon the completion of background checks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. 8.3, motion carries. On to 8.4, prorate annual golf membership fees, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the board approve a one-time reduction of $75 per person during the last quarter of 2021 for those buying the annual membership.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Roxy Marsh.
Rationale: due to the COVID-19 epidemic, residents were not able to travel. Therefore, residents were not able to play golf the full 2021 season. I am recommending the reduction, and approval of this motion is recommended.
Discussion.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
When you say the last quarter, are you talking about October, November, and December?
Correct.
Yes, the last quarter.
Okay.
Barring any discussion.
I got a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, Daryl, can you explain that? So are you saying that everybody who wants to get a membership for 2021, we can knock $75 off?
No, you can only knock the $75 off if you come and apply for your membership in October, November, December. It's strictly the last quarter of the year. It's not for somebody who comes in June, July, August. No, it's strictly for the last 3 months of the year.
Okay, so somebody comes back in, they're going to be here 6 months, October through April. They can get the
No,
last 3
it's
months.
only, Bob, it's only for the year of 2021. They would take the pre-tax dollars and take the $75 off of the pre-tax dollars and then add tax onto that. And it's strictly for the year 2021. They will pay the full price in 2022.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. Mr. President, I move to approve a one-time reduction of $75 per person during the last quarter of 2021 for those buying the annual memberships. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion 8.4 carries. 8.5, amend section 6.2 of ARC Policy and Procedures, Director Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Board of Directors amend Section 6.2 of the Act, Policies and Procedures, by adding the phrase, "is the responsibility of the homeowner," to the last sentence.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Director Burns, second.
Okay. All right, basically what this is, the owners of most new homes are including watering systems in their homes. And the way they're set up, they have a sod box, which runs from the sod box where they can be shut off for the house by the city, by the park, and runs under the coach. What is happening at the present time, they have to, if they want a watering system, they have to go under the coach, cut the line, and bring it back out so that you can keep the water flowing when the place is turned off for the summer. What this will do is allow us to run a second line from that sod box with a shut-off so that can be turned on and off out there, and they can have the watering system, and we still turn the water off in their coach during the summer months when they may go north. Does everybody understand? No?
Read your motion again? That didn't say that.
It said that we're adding to the last sentence of that phrase in there, 6.2, which is the one talking about going from the sod box in, that becomes the responsibility of the homeowner. It will not, we've been going along with saying, if it's underground, it's the park. If it's above ground, it's yours, okay? This is changing that just a little bit in this one place where it says it will be the responsibility of the homeowner.
So you're saying that coming out of the sod box, the shut-off, going from there under the home is now responsibility of the homeowner?
Yeah.
That's not what the perspective says. That's not what the bylaws says. And I mean, anything underground belongs to the park. So if you're talking about adding a line for a sprinkler system and that being the homeowner's responsibility, that's another issue. But you're talking about the line itself running from the sod box under the ground, under the home, and up into the house. That's what you said there.
Right.
And that's always been, anything underground has always been the responsibility of the park.
Well, I guess the only other thing we can do is leave it so that it,
Well, I understand what's happening, and the way I understood it is they want to add a sprinkler system.
right?
And if they tie it in, they have to crawl under the house to do
Yep.
that, which is not good, one. And two, there's no way of shutting the sprinkler system off,
Correct?
except the main. Okay, but the reason the motion is being made is so they can add a line for a sprinkler system with a shut-off, and that would be the homeowner's responsibility, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but see, that's not what you said. You said the line itself. So I take that to mean the line running from the sod box underground into the house is now the homeowner's responsibility.
That's exactly right.
No, it hasn't. No, that's not true now, because anything underground, any water lines underground, has always been the association's responsibility. I'm telling you.
I just had a problem with one of the residents here where they had no box outside. The only shut off that was underneath the home that was exposed. I went up to the manager and they said I was responsible to fix. Sorry, I was responsible to fix the shut off valve. So I had to have them shut it off and replace the valve. What you're trying to say is you want a sprinkler system between the shut off valve that's outside. Well, a lot of parks and a lot of these units don't have that.
So only the new ones.
Right, only the new ones. And it always is the new ones, you can put it in line underground, which I have, is right where your shut off is. You go from there to your home, you cut it off and you tee it off and put your sprinkler system. Then you have a shut off there. That way you can shut off your water inside and still have your irrigation outside. It's real simple. It doesn't have to be inside or underneath the home.
No, I agree with what
Yeah. But he's trying to say is what I understand what you're trying to say. It's now responsible for us from the shut off outside to the thing. No, that's always been the part.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do, and I agree with it. I think we need a line coming off of the main for the sprinkler system, and that should be the responsibility of the homeowner. But that's not what you said there. What you said is the line coming from the sod box going underground to the home.
That's why it's the responsibility of the homeowner. That's why we're changing the language.
So that's what you're meant it to be then.
Can I,
So you're going to have to go back into the books and say anything that's any water lines underground is now the responsibility of the homeowner.
I think, Bob, what we're saying, if you're right about anything underground is the park's responsibility for maintenance thereof. But if you want to go in and add a sprinkler system, well, that shouldn't be the park's, that should be yours.
I agree.
And you know what? You didn't read the full thing. You know, you read your motion, but you didn't read the isolation valve of your second page.
What's that current?
Number 6, you didn't read that.
You didn't read,
Oh, I didn't, no, I didn't.
Why don't you? 'Cause that makes more sense.
I don't have it.
Would you
with me.
hand that to him?
Oh, okay.
It makes more sense.
It says the water line that continues from the isolation valve to a point closest to the home is the responsibility of the homeowner. We're adding in.
So you're not talking about a sprinkling system. You're talking about the line that goes from the isolation valve into the home.
No, we're talking about the,
Yeah,
we,
that's what you're talking about. The isolation box in the home, that being the responsibility of the homeowner.
okay, all right.
Well, I think you better look at your other language because the park has always been responsible for any of the underground water lines.
But like I said though, Bob, that's for repair and maintenance of such. But now if you're adding in a sprinkler system,
Then it should say that. It should say the sprinkler line running from the sod box is the responsibility of the homeowner, not the main line that goes into the house. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're trying to say, but you're not saying that. You're saying that line. And I think if you're going to tie a sprinkler system into the main line, that sprinkler system line belongs to the homeowner. But that main line still does not belong to the homeowner.
Bob, maybe because we discussed it so much instead of just reading it, we read into it more than there is. Have you read this exactly, or do you take a minute to read it to see if what we're writing here is more correct than how we said it? I've got a thing right here if you want to read it quickly, because it may be just what we're discussing isn't exactly that, and if you read that, maybe you'll agree with the way it's actually written.
Good, I got this started.
I just think you need to add, it's on the last page, you need to add a water line used for the sprinkler that continues from the isolation valve to a point closest to the home is the responsibility of the homeowner. Because you're talking about a sprinkler system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be two lines here. There's going to be a line to the isolation valve going underground to the home. Then there's going to be another line that connects to that with a shutoff that goes to your sprinkler system. Is that correct? So that line that will be shut off going underground to the sprinkler system is the homeowner's responsibility.
Let me ask you this though. Charlie presented the motion because he's the liaison. Who actually wrote this? Was it Gary Oots or that committee? If he would, is he here to answer that question? No, right?
Yeah,
Okay, there, he's got a mask on. I can't tell. Okay, Gary, do you understand what he's saying and agree with him, or are you guys at odds?
Yeah, the line right now that runs from the sod box goes underneath the house.
before they used to have to go underneath the house and bring another line back out underneath the thing. We were trying to say, and I talked to the guy that does the sprinkler system, he, instead of crawling all the way underneath that house, the line that runs from the sod box, so that they cut into that line right there, put a sod box and put another box there with the valve, put a valve there with another box there for their solenoids and that, and then run their sprinkler system. What we were trying to say is the from the sod box, that line that goes in underneath the house would be the responsibility of the homeowner. That's what we were trying to say.
And I agree with you on that, but that's not what that said.
Gary, do you understand that what he's saying? It's not what you're proposing is correct, but what it says maybe is not written up quite correctly. Is that what you're saying? We'll look at it at the next meeting, but that's, we were under the understanding that that line went from the sod box would be the responsibility of the homeowner.
Maybe the committee should look.
Well, rather than pass something that's maybe not saying what we mean it to say, maybe we could table this till the next meeting and do a little more investigation into it. Okay, then what I need to do is, Daryl, if you would withdraw your second to the motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
And Charlie, if you withdraw that motion and we'll do it again.
And agree to
Okay,
table.
and Daryl withdrew his second, Charlie withdrew the motion. We'll check the wording of this and revisit it at the next meeting. 8.6, amend section, we just did that. 8.6, approve new home at lot 163. Charlie Weaver, we'll be more kind to you this time.
Thank you, Mr. President, I think. I move the board approve the installation of a new coach on lot 163 by Robert and Cindy Kraus.
Have a second.
We'll try it again. I'll second.
Daryl seconded. Daryl Burns.
Okay? Hell of a team, Daryl. Rationale, the coach is a 62-foot Jacobson. A plot plan was submitted to the Architectural Review Committee, who, after review, approved it. The plan meets all FVRA requirements for the placement of new coaches.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Including watering systems, I think.
No, don't start. If there's no discussion, I'll reread the motion and we'll vote. I move the board approve the installation of a new coach on lot 163 by Robert and Cindy Kraus. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And motion 8.6 carries. Motion 8.7, approve new home at lot 405, Director Weaver.
Okay, Mr. President, I move that the board approve the installation of a new coach on lot 405 by Diana Swales.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Daryl Burns, good team. Rationale.
Rationale, the coach is a 60-foot Jacobson. A plot plan was submitted to the Architectural Review Committee, who, after review, approved it. The plan meets all FVRA requirements for the placement of new coaches. Approval of this motion is recommended.
Any discussion on the motion? Barring any discussion, I'll reread the motion. We'll vote. I move that the board approve the installation of a new coach on lot 405 by Diana Swales. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. And motion 8.7 carries. And that concludes our agenda for the day. As always, we'll stick around afterwards for discussion with the shareholder. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion we adjourn.
Daryl Burns, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Daryl Swain, the Daryl team. Daryl and his brother Daryl. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and we will stick around for any discussion by the shareholders.
Okay. I'm Sue Bagg, and I am new to the park as of February of this year. I bought a home in the no pet section. I have met absolutely wonderful people here who all seem very kind and very accepting of new people, and I appreciate that. Which is why I find it very difficult to understand why asking people not to walk their pets in the no pet section is not just a common courtesy. And I would ask that individuals who own these, who get these exceptions to have a pet in the no pet area, please respect the rights of their fellow neighbors and kindly take your pet to the pet section to walk it or to one of the beautiful parks we have in this area.
And that's well said. It's a request. It's just of somebody saying that in their opinion, it would be courteous of people with ESAs to do that. Certainly, as Daryl said, by state and federal laws, they're protected in walking them any place they want. But that's a nice request, well said, and hopefully people will take it to heart.
By federal law, we cannot restrict where the ESAs go in the park. We cannot restrict wherever that person goes, that ESA is permitted to go. I mean, until the government does something and puts some teeth in it to where we've got something to go by, we can't do it. I mean, if anybody here wants us to file a lawsuit and they're willing to pay if we lose maybe $500,000, we'll fight it. We'll go to law and fight it.
On the plus side of this, the state legislature enacted some new laws just recently that give us a little bit more to fight with. Not a lot, but they're moving in the right direction. And what they've decided now is that, for instance, you basically can't use an internet doctor. You can't just go online and pay $230 and get the proper paperwork. The person who fills out the paperwork, that doctor, has to have a history with you. It can't say on the paper, she visited me on April 12th and she's been seeing me since April 12th. That doesn't count. And so we have some things to do. That's not a lot, but the legislature's starting to move in the right direction anyhow.
Thank you, John. Murray Collector 362. I'm just wondering if you all have finally decided to enforce the rules on the trash cans and put them back in the sheds where they belong?
It's a real problem because there's certainly, because of the size of them, because the difficulty for some of our seniors, and we're all seniors, I'm sorry, but for some people to get them out, we've granted a lot of leeway, and we've just been trying to kind of monitor it. It would help us, and you can direct them to me, if you want to just stop in the office and just note to me which ones are an eyesore, are out in places they shouldn't be. If you just let me know, I'll start tracking them, and we still haven't come up with an exact policy, but we need to get onto that. So anybody who sees them where you think they really don't belong, I don't care if you don't even give us your name. Just report it to the office. We'll look at it, and we did say quite some time ago we were going to defer this until we saw how people adjusted with it, and maybe it's about time. So anybody who says any that they think are really in a wrong place, don't say anything to the person. Just give us that unit number, and we'll start looking at them and maybe come up with an exact policy.
That would be good. But hurricane season's coming. Even if we don't get a hurricane, we get a lot of strong winds. As I walk around the park, ride my bike around the park, I see cans sitting out front all day long, every day. Big wind comes, they're gone. And this is not what is in the bylaws, and I think you ought to enforce it. Thank you.
Good point.
George. John, you're my neighbor, so you know, right. Anyway,
My name is Shelley Wright. I live at 324. I'm on disability, and I get disability money, and I was diagnosed at 60 years old. My doctor said after 40 years, you got a lot of disability. I'm going to give you disability. Okay. And he also said you need emotional support dog. I called the office to tell Mary, to tell Anthony that at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's coyotes in the park. There's stray dogs in the park. I clean up my poop out of my yard. I clean up duck poop. I clean up cat poop. I clean up, in other words, I don't think our dogs are really going in a non-dog section. I think us that have dogs, we're picking it up. But I don't think people realize how many critters come in and just get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, even when I walk around that lake, I pick up my poop. There's duck poop. There's cat poop. There's wolf poop. I don't know how you would eliminate that with all the critters coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to tell the lady, I'm sorry, that I walk my dog, but I pick up a lot of poop. I got more poop bags in my house than I have food. I'm serious. Come to my house. I got about 300 poop bags. But on the second note, I want to ask for a recommendation. I've been here 3 years. I planted a lot of flowers. I planted gardens. I planted all kinds of stuff to make my property look nice. I don't care about other people's property. I want my property. But as you know, as us at neighbors, we're one big sand pit. We look like a cat litter box. We tried sod. My husband bought expensive sod. We bought the, whatever you go, Home Depot, them big sheets. We bought everything, bluegrass, yellow grass, everything people tell us, but nothing is growing. Ray Reed, I hate to use his name, but he said you need some real dirt. Okay? I don't know. Are we allowed to bring in like a truck of dirt or no? Is that feasible?
Just, you need to, first of all, you need to go to the ARC committee and they'll tell you just exactly how you can do that. But
Yeah,
the first step is go to the ARC.
I went to them whenever the other guy was on it that just retired, Gary Haig. And he said all these things, and I did all those things. I mean, is there any way you guys, not you live back there, but maybe Anthony could come back? There's about 10 of our houses that's just full of sand, no matter how hard you dig down in. My husband said the water doesn't come down to the back of the park. Okay, it's going this way. We're not getting water. We're going up higher. So I wish the art committee or who's ever on it would take a look, because I look really bad back there. I mean, I could put in all the flowers. I'm just look like a big cat litter box.
Shelley, I think you're saying the same thing we all think. It's just impossible for me to grow grass. I put in sod every 3 years and then put into new. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Sonny. I'm at lot 633. I want to bring up a safety concern. The city of Largo goes around and picks up the trash and the recycle containers. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but these guys are driving like 30, 40 mile an hour through here. Now, the dangerous part typically is when they come around a corner. They're coming around the corner in the wrong lane. So, as you know, we have many elderly people and people on golf carts, people even on wheelchairs in our streets sometime. And this is a serious safety hazard that at some point is going to lead to injury or death if we don't address it with the city, I believe.
I have the direct phone number to the manager of solid waste, and I'll call him and tell him that tomorrow. How far that goes from there, I don't know, but it's a good first step, and let's see if it helps. I'll call that guy tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John.
I just lied to you. I'm going to be golfing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll call him.
We need immediate action. I don't know if any other residents have noticed it, but they go 30 mile an hour in reverse sometimes. Seriously, not exaggerating. So it definitely needs to address. I appreciate it. I'm sorry? Yeah. But good point. Several different drivers, and I give them one of these. Slow down, pal. And they just wave and kick it down,
That's a good point. Thanks for bringing it up. I'll do what I can do.
Last month's meeting, Fern Claudia 602.
You can't hear me?
Take your mask down.
Take my mask.
Take your mask down to talk.
I don't trust you.
I'm sorry, did you say, do we want to hear you?
602.
I'm sorry.
Claudia.
Go ahead, Fred.
Last month, we talked about opening the office. And I don't see it opening. And we opened the schools, we opened the bars, we opened everything, but not Fairway Village. You can put a plastic on top of the desk where you come in, let one person in at a time, and then we could go in the office and talk. Now we can't.
I'll tell you my thoughts on it, Fern, and I agree with you. We've all said we want to get it open as soon as possible. One thing, our positivity rate's gone up in the last month. It was up to 8.6. Now it's down to today. I think it was 6.2. CDC says when you get under 5, you should be safe. But my biggest concern is the 2 people in the office are younger people. They haven't gotten their vaccinations yet. You put plastic up, and it's like in the smoking section of a restaurant. The plastic doesn't help any. So as soon as that positivity rate gets down where the CDC says it's supposed to do, and if and when they can get our personnel in the office vaccinated, we all want it to open up. But keep in mind, it's not closed. You just need to call first. You just need to call and tell them you need something.
How often does the CDC come over and check?
The CDC, no, but there's several sites you can look and see what the positivity rating is day by day.
It's in the paper every day under Pinellas County.
Yeah.
Fern, he can go to the office. If he has something he has to talk to somebody in the office, they'll let him in. If you need to go to the office, knock on the door. Tell them what you need.
They don't open the door.
Yeah, it's not closed. The doors are locked, so that's how we're monitoring that. And call first, or just stop up and knock on the door. Anything else? Well, you guys were all very gentle. I appreciate it. You guys have a nice week.